It is 2 days before Christmas 2025.
Yay!
How do you feel about the weather?
I love the weather.
We're in the kitchen because it is too hot in the living room where we get the most sun. Today is the 22nd, and in Colorado, we're all kind of going, where's the snow? But sometimes we're afraid to say the S word because...
It usually happens the day after.
Exactly. But I have been looking at the Farmer's Almanac for the last 2 or 3 weeks. There is no snow in sight. We had that huge snowstorm, as you recall, at the beginning of December. It's like December 1st or 2nd, something like that. And that's it. And when we get hit hard in Colorado, we really get hit hard.
Oh yeah, pray now.
Anywhere between January and March is blizzard weather, typically, if we have like a mild winter in December and November. We made it. We made it through the holidays. We've got this other holiday to get through, and I think we're doing pretty good. We were talking about today's topic, and I think it's a fun one. We're going to talk about the memories that we have of the best and greatest holidays. It doesn't have to just be Christmas, but any kind of holiday or celebration, such as birthdays, that we can recall. And of course, one that always stands out for me is the blizzard of '82. I was 9 years old. Do you remember the blizzard of '82?
Yeah, that's the year my grandfather died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Aw, on your mom's side or your dad's side?
My dad's side. It was my dad's dad.
Oh, I never knew that, Gerald.
Yeah.
I've known you 37 years, and I always find out something new. But I'm sorry to hear that. He died on Christmas Eve then?
It was actually before Christmas Eve.
Okay.
When the blizzard of '82 hit, I remember going to my grandpa's condo, and I think we were gathering up his stuff, but he died right after he came back from Chicago visiting his daughter.
Wow.
So he died of a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, Christmas Eve was the blizzard of '82, and my grandmother was still around, which is my mom's mom. And back then we had CB radios or police scanners.
Yeah.
And then for a long time, like in the 2000s, they were making them illegal, which is so dumb. Which you can't make them illegal because it's our broadcasting rights and things like that. It's kind of like if you tell an apartment renter that they can't have their satellite dish, the FCC will come after you.
Yeah.
So anyway, the radio scanners are coming back. But we were listening to my dad's old police scanner, and I believe, if I recall, he was on a high-speed chase going down Colfax. And ironically, I'm on Colfax for my kidney treatment 3 days a week. And I don't remember exactly where he ended up, but as I recall, he lost sight of the criminal because it was whiteout snow, and he got stuck in his squad car. And back then, they made military food. I'm sure they still do. And they would put it in the trunk because you're able to open, the trunk from the inside of the car. So he reached back there and was able to get his military-style food. And so he slept in his car, and I believe he wrote a poem or a letter. My oldest brother shared that with me. And if I can remember, I'll take a picture of it and I'll share it on the community wall. You might have to zoom in to read it, but he wrote it while he was stranded in the car. And my dad also verbally recorded himself on his little microphone in his squad car, or he might have done it afterward. If you hear that noise, it's our horse drinking water. Our dog. You drink like a horse. Mm-hmm. So I don't know when he wrote the letter and verbalized it, telling his story of what happened. But I will also link down below. It's a link that my middle brother, Matthew, had created, and it might go to his channel. I'm not really remembering much. But click the link and you'll hear my father verbalizing the story of how he got stuck in the snowstorm. Now, I remember Christmas Day, he shoveled his way back into the house. And back then, blizzards in Colorado were at least up to your waist or higher.
Yeah.
And at that time, it might have been blowing, because blizzards, obviously, it's blowing snow. So it reached above the roof. And Christmas Day, he shoveled his way in, and, you know, I remember us kids screaming and, you know, hey, Dad, Dad, you know, because I was 9 and my 2 younger brothers were way little. Thane was probably 3, and Matt was maybe 4 or 5. And then Nathan was like, I think 10 or 11. And then the sun was shining on Christmas Day. We had our old-fashioned metal and wooden red sleighs. Is that what they're called? Sleds?
Yeah.
Sleds.
Sleds, yeah.
Yeah, and all the kids in the neighborhood had those. And then we had the plastic discs with the handles on them. And everybody was just out front. The entire neighborhood. Like the parents were all shoveling, and, you know, the snow blower or whatever. I don't even know if we had snow blowers until the late 80s, early 90s. I don't remember.
Probably like early 90s.
Yeah. So, you know, all the adults were out there shoveling and making snow piles for us kids, and we were just going up on top of these mountains of snow and in the middle of the street onto the other side of the neighborhood or down the road, and it was just so much fun. And but that's the one that stands out the most for me. I got others, but you go next.
Probably the only thing that stands out for me would be, you know, Shiloh's first Christmas. That was pretty exciting. You know, her being almost 1 or a little, no wait, almost 1. She wasn't really interested in the presents. She was more interested in the wrapping paper and the boxes, and you know how little kids are, especially at that age. They could care less if it's a present. They just sort of got their eye on Christmas wrapping paper or boxes.
And bows.
And bows and stuff, yeah. So that's one that sticks out for me. And then another one that stuck out for me is, I think it was 1984 or 85, but I remember getting this really cool, like it was called the Snow Nut. It was like an inner tube that had handles on each side. So if I can recall, I think it was Arapahoe and Holly. And then Holly, if you go southbound, it was like in Littleton, there was this huge, massive hill. It was on the opposite side of Holly. And we used to just go down that, like, just, like, every, like, time that we got a chance to go up, go back down, go up, go back
Was it
down.
on the opposite side where the King Supers used to be?
No, it was
King Supers?
no, it was a little further.
Past Village Inn?
It was like past Village Inn. Do you remember where the park was? I think it was.
It was on the left, wasn't it?
Yeah, the park was on the right.
Oh, it was on the right?
Yeah, if you went down Arapahoe, you turned right on Holly, and then on the right-hand side there was a street that you could go up to go to the park. But on the left-hand side there was this huge hill.
I don't think so.
I think it was, maybe it was.
I mean, it was probably there.
Yeah.
I just, you know, my family and I, like, ventured over more west. Like, we were around the Dry Creek and University area in Arapahoe Road. Are you talking about, okay, I'm trying to remember, because I've been very clouded with streets lately.
Yeah.
Where Isaac Newton used to be, even though they pushed it back in the parking lot. And then Allingers, where our parents are buried, is going west and east. Is that Arapahoe Road? That's Arapahoe, right?
Yeah, Arapahoe would go,
Where's
east
Colorado
and west.
Boulevard?
Colorado Boulevard went north and south. So if you went down University and you made a right on Arapahoe
Oh,
Road,
I know where to okay.
Yeah, Colorado Boulevard, that's where Allinger's at.
Yeah, okay,
And
Colorado,
Newton Junior High School.
before you get to my mom's house, right?
Yeah.
Colorado Boulevard. Okay, I know
Yeah.
where University, Dry Creek, Colorado Boulevard, Arapahoe, and then Holly. Does Holly go north and south?
It goes, north and south. So it'd be like behind
Behind the King Supers over there.
Behind the King Supers and the Village Inn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been, I mean,
It's been
when
forever.
you don't drive for so many years and they've redone our old neighborhood, like I hear all the time on the Littleton page on FB, you don't recognize Old Town Littleton anymore.
Well,
It's now Centennial for the last 15 years because they split up Littleton because it was so huge. So my old stomping ground is Centennial.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same for you, but because I don't know where that starts.
it'd be Littleton. Well, I lived in Littleton when we first moved to Littleton, of course, but now it's Centennial because like I lived over by Dry Creek and Jameson Street.
Yep.
So Dry Creek, just before you get to, it was a little distance, but just before you get to county line.
Yep. And yeah, because Dry Creek went west and east, and University went north and south.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry about that, but
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
I know. I have an idea of what you're talking about because I might have seen that Hill Park. Because I used to work over there at that Village Inn. We used to call it Village Inmates, but Nathan worked there too. He used to be, what do you call it? Bucky the Bear.
Bucky the Bear.
Nathan's going to be like, I don't remember that. My brother was a mascot for almost every restaurant. I'm not kidding. I don't know if they found out that he was a mascot for all these other restaurants, but he was a mascot, and he was Bucky the Bear. And do you remember Bucky was the icon bear for Village Inn?
Yeah.
And you would come in and you would get free crayons and you would color Bucky the Bear.
Yeah.
So he would be in the parking lot wearing this bear suit. Well, then I guess I think he quit, and then it was my turn to work there. It's like a family affair. I don't know what he did besides the parking lot bear, greeting people in, but I worked as a busser, and I loved it there. Don't get me wrong. I love elevator music, like jazz and piano music. But I quit because I told my mom and dad I was scheduled to work, I think, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And I was only like 15 or 16 at the time, so it was my very first job. And my mom's like, "Yeah, you can quit." So I don't even think I put my 2 weeks notice in. I just quit. And so, I was like, "Yay, hurrah!" But before I quit, I remember Nathan coming in to get me, to pick me up with Mom and my other siblings. And he said, "Hey, Laura, whatever you do, don't say anything about the car." And I went, in shock. I go outside, because I didn't even know what he was talking about. I go outside and I looked over and I went, and Nathan went, like this. And we got in the back seat and I'm looking at him like, like this. We get home and I think my mom got out of the car, and I don't know if she just went around or something, and she saw the front headlight damage. He got in so much trouble. So what happened was my mom must have told him to go out and start the car to warm it up, because it might have been, it was winter.
Yeah.
So he went out there to warm it up, but he decided to also take it on a joyride through the neighborhood. And along the way, he hit a few parked cars. So my dad, I believe, and I might have some of the story wrong, but as I recall, my dad and my mom made Nathan get in the car with my dad and go around and find the cars that he might have hit and go and apologize to those people. Now, I don't know if he had to pay some money or do community service for them. I don't remember, but I just thought that stood out so good. I thought that was hysterical. I'm like, oh my God, my mom was so livid. And I think it was Grandma's car, I think, but I don't remember. All I know is it was a green car, and I think my grandma was the one that drove the green car. It was like a Buick Skylark.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, I can't believe I remember that. Okay, so anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt and
you're
go
fine.
on a hayride here. So about that part, you had that donut with the handles, and were you there with friends all the time, like elementary or high school?
Honestly, I think it was a free-for-all because everybody and anybody was there. It could be the ranges of 7 or 8-year-old kids, which I don't recommend because the older kids would probably pile them over.
Oh yeah.
But it ranged from 7 to 8, from junior high school all the way up to high school, just depending what grade you were in high school.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sophomore, juniors, and seniors are like, nope, I don't want to lose my rep. I want to have a good rep. I do not want to do anything in the snow.
Well,
But-
and I can imagine if a lot of those were made out of like rubber tires, like they look like rubber tires, if they bumped into somebody, they would probably go flying.
Oh
right?
yeah, most definitely, because it took what was it? My what do you call it? Air pump for blowing up basketballs.
Uh-huh.
I had to use that thing, keep pumping and pumping, and it took me at
Had to
least
slowly,
an
probably.
hour to get it
Oh my God.
to get fully where you want it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just go out around the neighborhood or over there at that place that I was telling you about, and I just go sledding. And then as I got older, probably my freshman year in high school, I did a lot of skateboarding. And I had so many skateboards that were just like blank decks that were just like ripped, torn to shreds. Because I'd go through a skateboard like 4 months. My mom used to hate that. You'd have to go through another skateboard, huh? Yeah. So what we did, I swear, it's like it should have been invented, but I think snowboarding came out in the 90s? Maybe late 80s?
I really don't know.
But we used to take
Could
our...
have been the late 80s.
Yeah, so we used to take our skateboard, or my skateboard, and we'd find some shoestring, and we'd tie it on our board, and then I'd strap my feet on the board with the shoestring, and I'd go down the little like hill that was behind my neighborhood. And so, you know, I did that a lot, and so all the other kids were like, oh, that's cool, I gotta try that. And I go, just get a skateboard that doesn't have trucks, still has the grip tape on it, just take them off, do whatever. So we're like going down, and I remember one time going down the hill, I literally fell in, which was like, you don't want to call it a creek, you don't want to call it a pond, because it was just like a little sliver of water that ran through.
Like a ditch or something?
Like a ditch, yeah. And I literally fell hands first in there. And my friends were laughing at me so hard. I'm like, can somebody help me out of this? They're still laughing and laughing. I'm like, please help me. And they're like still laughing because they thought it was hysterical. So I literally had to pull myself out.
Ooh, that breeze feels great.
And I ended up with frostbite in both of my left hand fingers and my right hand fingers.
So I remember you mentioning that throughout the years that your fingers have had frostbite when you were little, and so to this day you still can't feel. Is it like a delayed reaction?
I can feel them. It's like a delayed reaction more on the right than the left because I have neuropathy now on the left, and I'm just like anything that touches my left hand or my left fingers, I'm like, ah.
You know, my arm has been really hurting after dialysis. Sometimes during, but like worse after dialysis, and it's just like the needles I think are sometimes hitting the nerves in there.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of another. Okay, I remember a few Christmases back on government housing. It was after your first disease of the meningitis, and Shiloh got her white Fila shoes or Fila shoes or
Fila.
Yeah, because we used to have Fila back in the day, I think. And there's pictures somewhere about that. And her Tupac Shakur T-shirt, and my son was into the Jeffree Star makeup because he had just started using it, and then he got some for Shiloh, and you got me a bunch of big yarn and things like that, and I made you a bunch of stuff for your apartment, and so I remember that. That was a really special time, and probably one of many of Shiloh's first Christmases without her bio mom, because I felt like she was truly happy, not putting on a front and being yelled at or whatever, and I just really think that was a special time of year. I also really remember the ones that we had when we lived at the Huntington, and I liked the layout of our apartment for being a 2-bedroom. The kids had their own rooms. You and I slept in the living room, but we had like that divider to separate, and you know, I just really loved it. I liked where we put the tree. It was kind of like on the other side of that half bar. Remember we had like a half bar. Like we have a full bar right now at the top, or at the kitchen. But at the Huntington, it was like very small. Yeah. I don't know what's going on over there. The dogs are distracting me. But I just thought that was really special. And I want to say a few months later, in February, January or early February, is when you came home with a surprise.
Oh, Yorkie?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
You asked me the night before, what do you think of this dog? Isn't he adorable? And I said, oh, he is cute. I just didn't, I don't know. You were just showing me all kinds of animals.
Animals, yeah.
I think you were trying to distract me from thinking that you were getting animals. Stay out of the trash, please, Snoopy. And you said, I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. You didn't tell us where you were going, I don't think, unless you said, maybe you lied and said you had to go get something from Ace Hardware. I don't know.
Something like that.
But you came back, and Ryland and I were sitting on the floor, and Ryland's like, he's ours? This is for us? And he said surprise, and we named him Yorkie because you said the woman that owned him named him Yorkie, like Yorkie. Well, he's not a Yorkshire. He's licking carpet, by the way. He's got a licking habit. So funny. And he was 1 year old, and he is a Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua. And she gave you his original adoption papers where she got him from. She said that he was a gang dog, okay? A gang dog. And if anybody knows about the streets of Denver and gangs in Colorado and Aurora, Colorado, yeah. So his name was Rio, R-I-O. And we're like looking at him, and I'm like, okay. So we just kept it as his middle name. So he is Yorgie, which is Y-O-R-G-I, Rio McKellips Lackey. And then Snoopy, we don't have a middle name for him.
No.
Sometimes we call him Snoops or Bubba.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite holiday also was when we went and got Snoopy.
Oh, yeah.
He was a month old. It was like the next day after Thanksgiving or the day before.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
I think it was like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, one of those. And you guys remember the video. You were still recovering from your stroke.
Yeah.
And I felt like Snoopy, being the puppy that he was, that I'm like looking at that thing out there, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. I'll have to look later. But I just figured that would be good therapy for you. You know what I mean? And after a few months, I think you were getting frustrated with him because I would go to doctor appointments and you didn't know how to handle him because he was into things all the time.
Yeah.
But we got through it. And ever since you were gone, maybe the third or fourth time around that you were in the hospital for like a month for mental health after post-stroke, I really think the animals react to that because ever since you've been home going on almost 2 years, next April 2026, it'll be 2 full years that you've been mentally stable. This dog, Snoopy, sits on his lap on the couch. Just, half of his body on the couch and the other half up on your lap.
Yeah.
And Yorgie will sometimes sit up at the back of the couch, and I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? I don't know what's going on. They're both. We've got Snoopy, that's the sheep herding dog, which is Australian Shepherd Border Collie, and he is like always trying to tend to what Yorgie is doing because he figures, hey, I'm doing my job, I'm working, okay? He is the baby sheep.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought that was special because Snoopy was so tiny and so freaking adorable. He really is still adorable. And I'm glad he's still on the doggy Prozac. At first, I just thought, okay, this isn't working. But the vet talked to us and calmed us down and said, I would rather keep him on it because taking him off is going to be a nightmare. And so he is a pretty chill dog.
Yeah, he is a pretty chill dog.
He gets hyper after 3 because I think the meds are wearing off.
And then his anxiety shoots up when he hears something outside.
Yes,
So.
especially, I don't even know how he and Yorgie could hear a person walking past our unit with their dog. He perks up out of his sleep and he starts, making growling sounds and, he reminds me of Chewbacca from Star Wars. But this is why we don't have the couch in front of the window anymore.
Yeah.
Because the two of them just bark at blowing wind and leaves and sticks and... Yeah, so we've got the piano over there. But now he's the only backyard that he gets is in our backyard. And we went for a walk, last Sunday we went for the W for the first time in 6 months with the two dogs.
Yeah.
And they loved it. It was a beautiful day. And Snoopy was just sort of barking all along the way for 20, 30 minutes that we were walking. And it wasn't aggressive barking. It was high-pitched, happy, excited barking.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy he did that. So we should do that again the next couple of days. But yes, I'm trying to think. Besides celebrating our children's birth milestones, those are always my favorite. My son is going to be 25, February 1st, which is the same day as my oldest brother. My son was induced a month early because he wasn't getting any bigger. That was the highlight of Ryland's life, is that being born, obviously. And then me being introduced to your daughter when she turned 5 years old. And I remember little Elmo dressed up and walking when I lived on Littleton Housing in a different location, and that's when I met Amy at the time, and I'll just never forget little Elmo walking through the neighborhood,
Yep.
cul-de-sac, and just trick-or-treating, and it was so cute. Do you have any special memories of the holidays with your parents?
I don't remember too much. I do remember probably 1980 or 1979, one of the two, but I remember my mom and dad and me going over to my grandparents for Thanksgiving and having a huge feast, like turkey, like 7 or 8 different pies, everything known to mankind. I'd eat until I'd go into a coma. And then after that, I remember me and my parents going over to my grandparents, I think it was Christmas Eve, to open up Christmas presents at their place, because Christmas Day I would open up my presents that Santa sent on Christmas Day. So, of course, that's some of the memories that I remember from my grandparents and my parents, but sometimes I don't remember too much. So
I remember coming home from middle school, and it was 1980 something, and it was Good Friday, and it was probably a half day because, you know, it was like Easter spring break or something like that. And I was walking home, and it was very cloudy out, and it had just rained previously, and the neighborhood Sorg kids, remember the Sorgs?
yeah,
Before they were bullying Gerald in high school, they were antagonizing the neighborhood. And their dad would work on a lot of muscle cars behind our cul-de-sac, or not our cul-de-sac, behind our neighborhood. And Pat's older brother, or whoever it was, I don't know if it was Ryan Timmons, I want to say it was a Sorg brother, but somebody was driving one of their muscle cars, like a Mustang, and they purposely went up against the curb and splashed mud water all over me. I don't know what I was wearing, but it was a light colored outfit, and I was so upset. My hair was like drenching wet, and I was just muddy wet. So I get in the door, and I'm greeted by my parents, and my mom gave me a hug and said, "I wanted to let you know that Grandma died this morning." And I said, "This morning? On Good Friday?
I'm sorry.
Why is it Good Friday? Why is it called Good Friday? It's not Good Friday." And I got really upset, and I don't remember from there if I just ran to my room. Because remember, I was the one that found my grandmother, who had a stroke when I turned 12, 13 years old. And I was the one that notified my parents. And from there, we all were trying our best to take care of her at home, you know, and I had to give up a lot of my weekends to help bathe her and dress her, do her nails, toenails, VO5 purple stuff in her hair. And she would teach me, you know, I'm really glad she remembered this after having a stroke, but she would tell me how women curled their hair since the 20s. And she would take her finger and just go like this, and then you would just put a bobby pin crisscross on it. And so I liked it. I liked everything that she was teaching me. But it was very hard on me being that young age, because my mom had just started working. Us kids were getting more expensive as we grew. And, you know, my dad was a full-time police officer. And after a while, I think they were trying to bring hospice to the house to try to care for Grandma, but I think that was too expensive, and they ended up putting her in the nursing home. And when we went to visit, I absolutely hated it. All the elderly were lined up against the wall in their wheelchairs, and watching that really small tube TV of Wheel of Fortune up in the far corner. I don't even know how anybody can see that. And it smelled like urine and feces, and I didn't like my grandma being there. And to me, to this very day, I believe that when people are put in a nursing home, I feel that their soul dies before they physically die.
Yeah.
And she passed away, I don't know when. I don't know if it was a few months later from Alzheimer's or a few years later. I really can't remember a lot of that stuff because of what I was going through from my dad. So a lot of that stuff is clouded. But my favorite memories with my grandmother were going into her bedroom every Christmas. She would get a new, what do you call it? Wind up. What are those called? Music boxes.
Music boxes, yeah.
I drew a blank. And I think I got a picture downstairs. And she would wind that up, and she just loved it. And we'd put it in the bedroom, and my 3 brothers and I would go in there, and all of us would start winding them all up. It was so fascinating. Like, we're sitting in her room, listening to all of them and trying to guess which one was playing which song. You know what I mean? Oh, I know what that song is. Ring in the Clowns. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And I remember my favorite one that she had was, it was like a little farmhouse made out of tin. And there was a windmill, or not a windmill, but it's like a water mill thing on the outside. But it was made out of tin. Snoopy's going in the tent. He just snuck his head. I mean, not Snoopy, Yorgie.
Yorgie.
That is funny, sorry. That's cute. Hi, Yorgie. Yeah. It's like he's looking at us like, hi. He's enjoying the weather today. But anyway, it had this round wheel on the side of the tin house, and that was the thing you wound up. But in real life, it would be outside of a wooden cabin in the 1800s, and water would spin on it. And it was like a water well.
Yeah.
And so that was my favorite one. I think it was just so beautiful, and I just don't really remember the song for that one. But Ring in the Clown, that one was a clown. What are you doing? Can you let him in? He's trying to be a sheep herder. He's trying to come in. I mean, what can you do, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like, there's like an old music box that was your grandmother's perhaps, and we're trying to figure out why it's shaped like almost like an octagon or a hexagon or something. But I like it, and I think I've got a couple of musicals downstairs. There's one that I need to fix, or 2 of them I need to fix, which is Glinda and the Wicked Witch. They were kind of broken when we moved in. I haven't even had time to even glue it. But yeah, I really love that part of the holidays, is when Grandma got her music boxes. I do remember Christmas Eve when I was probably between 9 and 11, and maybe between 7 and 9, I should say. I had short blonde hair, and I can hear Frosty the Snowman and all that. And my mother and grandmother decided to fix all of us liver and onions. I don't know how my brothers ate it. I have no clue how they ate it. But I was the last one at the table. And my mom said, Laura Michelle, you're going to eat the liver and onions, or you're not going to have Christmas. What is it going to be? We'll wait. So they're all in the living room, and I'm sitting in the kitchen contemplating life. And JJ, my mixed lab, was old, but, you know, I decided to gnaw on the liver, and you're literally gnawing on it for a few minutes. And I spit it into the paper towel napkin, like I was wiping my mouth, and I put it in my lap. Took the whole entire wad, went to the bathroom, flushed it, and this is when we had shag green or gold carpeting in the bathroom. The toilet immediately started gurgling and overflowing, and I didn't know how to use a plunger. I'm little, I didn't even know what that thing was. And I'm screaming for help. My dad runs into the bathroom, and my mom, and they see all this food coming up and over the toilet lid onto the floor. I was in so much trouble. There is a picture somewhere. One of these days, I will find it. But I have a lot of loose photos in a big plastic bin, so it could take a while. But I'm standing in the corner. It could be in my photo album, but anyway, I'm standing in the corner with my little dress on, and it's by the front door. I totally remember it. I got in so much trouble, and I just cried. I cried so hard that I was, when you're gasping for air. And I think finally my mom felt guilty enough that they let me say I was sorry and let me come over and have my Christmas. And I think that was the night that I got 2 ice cream dolls. One was a big one, and some of you women might remember the ice cream dolls. They had big giant heads with their soft body, but their head was plastic and had big teardrop looking eyes. And they would hold an ice cream around their neck. And I still have the miniature one. The little one is downstairs. And so I remember getting those 2 gifts, and I just kept telling my mom and dad I was so sorry. And from there, they never served liver and onions again. One of the nurses at Fresenius was like, why on earth did our parents keep serving food that us kids hated? I understand that they're not a restaurant. You have to eat what's in front of you. But if it's like something that's not very popular, like liver and onions, but then again, liver and onions was very popular. Like, you had to eat it, right?
I didn't even eat it.
Oh, okay.
I only could take like 2 bites, and I'm like, nope.
And what did
Can't
your
do
mom
it.
do?
She's like, you're going to eat it? I'm like, nope. My dad's like, you're going to eat it? I'm like, nope. Because at first they said, oh, guess what we're having tonight? And I'm like, ooh, what? And they're like, steak. And I'm like, steak?
They
Yum.
tricked you?
Mhm. So when I took a bite, I'm like, this isn't steak. This is liver, and I hate it.
It leaves that weird taste in the roof of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so gross. You said that your dad used to love eating
No, it was my grandpa.
monkey.
That was my grandpa. Well, I think it was when he was in the army. He was in like a different country, and I guess
Monkey brains.
Yeah, their delicacy was like monkey brains, and he like ate it, and he thought it was pretty good. And I'm like, ugh.
Nasty. Do you remember, the organ grinder?
Yeah, that was a fun little
I
place.
loved the organ grinder. It was down the road off of Pecos, I think, in Denver, around that area. But it was near Casa Bonita, that was saved by
Matt Stone and Trey Parker from South Park.
Yep. And you walk in, and the glass window was filled with all kinds of old-fashioned organs and pianos, and they would play by themselves.
Uh-huh.
So you're just looking through that glass, and you could hear them playing. And, they were like 1800 style organs and pianos.
Yeah.
And then you got up to the front of the line. It was almost like the tradition of Casa Bonita, where you're standing in line, and once you reach the front, you get a tray, and then you go to the buffet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And once we ordered our pizza and salad and all that, they would put a number on our table, and you are like in the middle of the whole entire restaurant. And while you're waiting for your food to be delivered, they would have a movie screen come down, and it would show the black and whites, which were Charlie Chaplin and Shirley Temple, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But I did not like the monkey playing the cymbals. He would like go like this. He was just playing the cymbals, and that thing scared me because they would zoom in and put them on the screen, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Well, at the time, my grandmother on my dad's side and my 2 cousins, my aunt and uncle, they came to Colorado, and we all went to the organ grinder, and they had a little gift shop. So my uncle went in there, and he bought a fake ice cube that had like a tarantula or something in it. It had the bugs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could buy some that are real, and they really do melt, and then you just eat the crunchy scorpion. And
Yeah.
it was so gross. But these were fake, reusable ice cubes, I guess, and I was just so grossed out. But that place was my favorite. But I guess we learned there was a lot of the DRUGS in the back door from the owner and a bunch of cooks, and I was like, wow, welcome to the late 70s, early 80s, Do you want to close that? I smell the neighbors' cigarettes. No offense, neighbors.
Okay.
Thank you. You can close it all the way. And then my second favorite was Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
But now my favorite is Casa Bonita. Now, one of these days we'll go again, but I just kind of feel like since they bought it, Matt and
Trey
Parker, I heard they kind of redid a lot of things, and I'm one of those people where if I see something redone, I will never remember how it was originally. And I don't like that, because to me I feel sad. I feel like, why do we have to tear everything down and remake it completely different? You know what I mean? I can understand updating, but try to update by keeping it the same. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But I guess there was a lot of asbestos, and there's, that place is old. It was built in 73 or 74 when we were born. And, so I just think that me trying to remember what it looked like when we were kids, versus how it is now. I'll probably give it a try. People used to hate the food, and I loved the food. They're saying it still tastes the same because they have a new chef. I think people are just picky, but you and I are used to eating SOS, if you know what that means, and peas and crackers and what was it? Mushroom soup on top of bread, broken up bread. But yeah. So we're drawing close to an hour. I remember Easter when I was little and trying to reach the Easter eggs in the bathtub. I had a little bit of water. Thank God we didn't drown, but my brothers and I were trying to reach them, and I remember falling in. Do you remember any Easter or Halloween that was your favorite?
Easter, probably when I went to, I think it was Walgreens, but at the time it was
it in Southland Mall?
No, but at the time it was Woolworths.
Okay, Woolworths, yeah.
So we were in downtown Denver, and we went into Woolworths, and I literally got my picture taken with the Easter Bunny.
Okay.
I think I was like 5, maybe 4, but I didn't have a problem with the Easter Bunny, but I had a problem with Santa Claus, because my mom asked me, "You want to get your picture taken?" Nope. And she's like,
I'm sorry,
"Come on."
but those
like,
Santa
"Nope."
Clauses back in the day,
Those things were creepy.
it was kind of like they didn't really think about how to make the costume correctly. Like, those were scary.
Yeah.
Even the Easter Bunny costumes back in the 60s, 70s, the 50s, like, what the heck? In 20, 50 years, people are going to look back at the Santa Clauses of today and think those are scary. But now they're really using realistic men that are big and chubby and
have a white beard, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that have long white beards.
Yeah.
I remember this one Santa at Southland Mall. He was, I'm sorry, the fakest Santa I've ever seen in my life. He was super skinny, and I just kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm 12, and I know darn well that is not a real Santa. But I had to keep my mouth shut, for my brothers, because if I blurted it out that he wasn't real or whatever, I'd be getting in a lot of trouble. But do you remember that he was replaced with a real-looking Santa? And that was probably the late 80s, early 90s. They started using realistic-looking Santas. And this Santa was so beautiful that I was like mesmerized. And every time I would see him as me being a teenager and then a young adult, he would be working there for so many more years. And he was just getting older and more realistic looking.
Yeah.
And I think we even brought our own kids there. I don't remember. I think Ryland was probably brought there when he was little. I don't remember, but he was just so beautiful. And then there was one like him at Cherry Creek Mall. Is that Cherry Creek Mall still around? It is? Really? How come we never hear about it?
It's so popular because all the people that live over there are like rich.
Yeah.
So, because Cherry Creek Mall to us when we were kids, it was like kind of forbidden for us because every time we went in, if we did like...
You could tell the Kmart shoppers versus...
Yeah. And we did some window shopping, or we went in, we always got that look like you're not even supposed to be in here, and it's like, really?
Can you believe that we were all discriminated against back in the day as well as currently? And, we've learned a lot of life lessons along the way of not to say FAG, if somebody's wearing a tag on the outside of their shirt, and just stupid things that we were taught or we just learned from other teenagers, other young adults. And, it's always learned by somebody in our lives. I really, where was I going with this? I already lost my train of thought. I can't remember now. I've been talking too long. Anyway, that's all I can remember. I think the holidays from when we were kids were my absolute favorite, but I do recall, obviously, my favorites with our own kids.
Yeah.
This year, obviously, we're going to be missing Shiloh again, but my son is here, and I'm just going to take some pictures and maybe some small videos here and there, and he is off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Nice.
He's working up the corporate ladder. No. They want him to be a manager, and he's really probably considering it. He's thinking about motivating to try to get a license and a car, and but it's hard.
Yeah.
It really is. I told him to do it when he's ready. Don't do it because they're telling you should be a manager or that you should get a car because we want you to be a manager, and and then I told him last week, I said, well, I want to encourage you to do it. I think it would be awesome, but this is my suggestion. If you bought a car and you're afraid to drive during winter, just leave your car parked at your apartment complex or here if you're still living here, and just take Uber or Lyft to get to work. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still pretty reliable. They've got a bunch of Lyft and Uber drivers that are mostly Honda CRVs and minivans and things like that. So, not like 79 Ford Fiestas like I was driving back in the day.
Or a 1985 Escort.
Yeah. Our cars would barely make it to and from, but I miss my little 79 Ford Fiesta. It was a standard H6 shift.
Yeah.
My dad taught me in the cemetery, and then he taught me on the other side of our block where there was an incline, and he taught me how to level it out on the hill. Put it in neutral, and just keep doing this. Back and forth, steady, and then when you're ready, just push that clutch in, start it at 1, then work your way to 2, then 3, and 3 and 4 should be if you're going 40 or
more,
or more than that. I don't think I ever really took it on the highway because I was afraid of the highway. I still don't like the highway. I-25 and the Mousetrap, they have changed so much in the last 50 years that we have been here. And it's like, okay, when did they add that lane? Wait, what is that over there? And that's why I think that if we went back to our old neighborhood, we probably wouldn't recognize a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because the last time we were there,
I still didn't recognize a whole lot because you remember the library that was across the street from Southland?
Yeah.
Yeah, they shut that down. Now it's a bank.
Yeah, it was a Dollar Tree. It was a little library, a bank. I don't know if Burger King is still over there, right directly across from the front of the high school.
I don't know. I think it is.
There used to be Albertsons over there as well, I think, in that one parking lot. It used to be LaBelle's. Remember LaBelle's?
Yep.
Does anybody remember LaBelle's? LaBelle's was a telephone store.
Well, didn't they do from LaBelle's and then they called it Best?
After that, it was called Best. And that's when phones started upgrading to cordless phones in the house, and cordless giant brick phones for your car. And it started off as LaBelle's. You guys remember I still have all of my mom's and my phone and grandma's phone. I used to love going in there. My brothers and I it was just such a calming store, and we would just all be entertained by pushing giant big buttons on phones that we were probably buying for grandma.
Yeah, my favorite time was going there during before Christmas and do Santa shopping.
They had a lot of catalogs, and they had alarm clock aisles, remember? So it was like anything pertaining to a bell, like a ring bell or an alarm clock. And so my parents and us, we were always updating our alarm clocks. We still have like a few vintage alarm clocks around here that we're using. I've got a red light, red number alarm clock downstairs. I don't use it for the alarm. I just use it to tell the time.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I've got one in my window that just plays music. I like my music in the morning. I like to wake up for the first hour before I come upstairs and just chill with the cats and, check my social media and emails and listen to my classical music or opera. My favorite music around the holidays, besides Christmas music, I love church choir music.
Oh, yeah.
With the men and the women. The church, like, you hear the church organ and just their music is like hollow and echoey through a church. I love it. And one of these days, I'm going to talk about family, like extended family. That's going to be one of our podcasts. And my God family, because, anyway, I won't spoil it. But, so now it's been an hour, and that's all I have to add. Do you have anything else, Gerald?
Remember that time we shared Christmas gifts? And I gave you a cross, and I got a hermit crab.
Yes.
For the longest time, for like at least 6 weeks, my mom kept saying she doesn't hate you, and I'm like, but I got a hermit crab. She doesn't hate you.
My mom made me go into Petco, or it was probably not even Petco. It was probably a different name. It was like Southland Pets or something.
Yeah.
Pets and Reptiles
Like
or something.
Sin City Pets or something like that.
Yeah, well, that was at Cinderella City, but we named it Sin City. So it was either at Cinderella City or it was Southland. But there was a pet store at both, and my mom made me go in and get Gerald a little hermit crab. She said, "What about this, Laura?" You know, she said, I don't know why. Okay, I don't recall why. And at the time, I didn't even know I got a cross from you yet.
Yeah.
So I buy this little hermit crab, and we put the little cage together and the little hay and whatever, and a shell or something. And I come to Gerald's place because my mom or dad dropped me off. And it's nearing the holidays, and we had just barely started dating. And Gerald gives me the gift first. And it's this beautiful cross, which I wish I had.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. It's somewhere at my mom's house. Could be lost, could be buried in the backyard, could be thrown away. I don't know. But it was beautiful. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? He is showing me this beautiful necklace, and I have a little critter in a shell for him in return. And what did you name him?
Hermie the Hermit.
Hermie the Hermit. And I was blushing. Gerald's blushing. You're giggling. Your mom thought it was like the most awesome, extravagant gift. Your mom is awesome. His adopted mom was from Scotland.
Yeah.
And I always hear her accent just cheery and giggling and laughing. And she was also our birth control. Because every time we were like making out in his bedroom in the dark to Metallica, she would be outside the door. Like I would see her feet shadow from the hallway under the door.
Yeah.
And I would be freaking out like, your mom. No, your mom. And then she'd go, yoo-hoo, Gerald.
Yeah.
And she would open the door and you would quickly turn on the lights and we're like,
Yep.
and my mom would tell me, so, did you guys have fun? And then she would sit me down and talk about the birds and the bees because she said your mom had called her worried about you and me. And I'm thinking to myself, nothing's going to happen because we have clothes on. And yeah, but I remember the red light, the little red light on your ghetto blaster.
Yeah, my stereo.
And all of a sudden, alarms are going off. We jump up and we're downstairs. To this day, Rosina, I know you did this on purpose.
That's funny.
I feel that since your mom put that box of pizza in the oven and set the alarms off and was giggling and opening up all the windows and pissing off your dad. He was downstairs smoking a cigar, but he came up and he was not happy. But you and I were trying to help her, and to this day, I believe that was her distraction so that we would come out of your bedroom.
Yeah.
And that was the best pizza I ever had. I loved your mom. Your mom was like the most awesome person. And I was a little intimidated by your dad, but I really loved working in the same facility as him at King Soopers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, being 15 and bagging groceries and then going up to the break room and walking past the meat market, you know, he was always making sure that he would see me, oh, Laura, and he would like be sharpening the meat cleavers and hacking off heads of birds or whatever. And I'm just going, ugh. I go, hi, Mr. McKellips. And I'd run up to the break room and, you know, and so, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we'll have some more memories down the road.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about more fun things that are not holiday related, but this was fun. I really appreciated it. I'm really glad, Gerald, that you've got a lot of your brain, if you will, from your stroke about our past and have not forgotten anything about that. You might forget like some short-term stuff like I do, but I'm really glad that we both can remember our past because those are the best memories ever.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about the next one. I forgot what the topic was. Do you remember?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember, but anyway, we'll do the advertisement for that one in the coming weeks. And then we'll have some more fun topics along the way. And if you guys have any suggestions on any other topics, they could be serious, They could be sad, emotional. They could be about mental health. They could be anything that you guys want to talk about. Ask us in the comment section below. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy listening to this for an hour. I say listen to it while you're house cleaning, maybe 30 minutes one day, 30 minutes the next, or maybe an hour before you fall asleep.
Yeah.
And then you'll wake up and be like, oh, it's over.
That's funny.
Anyway, you guys, we're going to buy, at some point, maybe next month, we're going to buy
My
stands that hold on to these because it's killing my hand.
Yeah.
Look how red my hand is. We both have neuropathy and that really hurts my nerves. But we were trying to figure out something today and it wasn't working. So
Maybe
we're going to
something
need like a little
this.
stand.
Like right here.
Yeah. But anyway, we're just coming along. You know, we upgraded to these 2 microphones.
Yes, we did.
The fun little covers are coming. They're different colors, so we could change them out all the time. I thought that would be kind of fun. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. We will see you on the next one. Please enjoy your holiday season. And for those of you that don't have any family or friends or have such disabilities that are causing you not to be able to celebrate, I am with you. My heart, it goes out to you. I am always here for my friends and family. If you need to talk about anything or vent about anything, please do not hesitate to do so. Even if it's on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I am here for you. Peace out and stay positive.